1700 BC. On the island of Crete, Europe's first civilization stood at the height of its power. A palace with over 1,000 rooms, advanced plumbing thousands of years ahead of its time, and no defensive walls protecting it, because the Minoans believed the sea itself made them untouchable. But within the next 250 years, two catastrophes would destroy everything. First came a volcanic eruption so massive, it sent giant tsunamis crashing into Crete. Then came the Mycenaean warriors from mainland Greece. What followed was the fall of Europe's first great civilization. This is Knossos, the lost world of the Minoans. The Palace of Knossos covered more than 20,000 square meters. Over 1,000 rooms stretched across a vast maze of corridors, staircases, courtyards, and ceremonial halls. At its peak in 1700 BC, Knossos was the largest structure in Bronze Age Europe. Four-story buildings rose from the hillside, connected by grand staircases and illuminated by sophisticated light wells, bringing sunlight deep underground. But what shocked archaeologists most was not the size. It was the technology. Clay pipes hidden inside the walls carried fresh, running water throughout the palace. Stone drainage channels removed wastewater beneath the floors. Some rooms even contained flushing toilets nearly 3,000 years ahead of medieval Europe. And despite all this wealth and sophistication, Knossos had no defensive walls. No massive fortresses, no military towers. The palace stood completely open to the surrounding countryside. The Minoans believed their navy controlled the seas so completely that no enemy could ever reach Crete. At the center of the palace stood the great ceremonial court, where religious processions, sacred rituals, and public gatherings shaped daily life. Knossos was not built as a fortress for kings. It was built as the spiritual and economic heart of Europe's first great civilization. Walk through the halls of Knossos, and one thing becomes impossible to ignore. Women were everywhere. The frescoes showed elegant priestesses dressed in layered skirts, gold jewelry, and elaborate hairstyles. But these were not decorative figures. They were symbols of authority. Unlike most Bronze Age civilizations ruled by warrior kings, Minoan Crete appears to have been governed through religion, with women holding the highest sacred power. At the center of their beliefs stood Potnia, the great goddess of nature, mountains, animals, and the sea. Her shrines were filled with sacred symbols, double axes, horns of consecration, and serpent imagery representing divine power. The famous snake goddess figurines revealed a society where female divinity stood above all else. In the great central court, sacred bull-leaping ceremonies unfolded before massive crowds. Young men and women vaulted over charging bulls in dangerous rituals combining athletic skill, religion, and performance. To the Minoans, the bull symbolized the raw force of nature itself. And overseeing these ceremonies were the priestesses of Knossos. For centuries, this civilization thrived under a system unlike anything else in the ancient world. A society where women held extraordinary influence. A civilization built around beauty, ritual, and the worship of the goddess. If you think this is one of the most fascinating ancient civilizations ever discovered, comment number 1 below. Knossos was not isolated. It stood at the center of a vast Mediterranean trade network stretching from Egypt to Anatolia. Minoan ships crossed the seas carrying olive oil, wine, pottery, textiles, and luxury goods to distant kingdoms. In Egyptian tombs, archaeologists discovered Minoan pottery prized by nobles and elites. Across the Levant, Minoan artistic styles appeared inside foreign palaces. The influence of Knossos spread far beyond Crete. Inside the palace, massive storage rooms held enormous ceramic jars called pithoi. Some stood taller than a human being and stored thousands of liters of grain, olive oil, and wine. These storerooms represented more than wealth. They were proof that Knossos controlled the agricultural economy of central Crete. The palace operated like a giant administrative machine. Farmers delivered surplus goods to the palace. Craftsmen received raw materials from palace officials. Everything was carefully recorded using the mysterious Linear A script, a writing system that remains undeciphered to this day. The Minoans imported tin from Anatolia, ivory from Africa, and lapis lazuli from Afghanistan. Their economy connected 3 continents through the power of maritime trade. For over 2 centuries, Knossos prospered as the wealthiest and most influential center in the Aegean world. But the civilization's greatest strength, its dependence on the sea, would soon become its greatest weakness. Around 1600 BC, disaster struck the Minoan world. 100 kilometers north of Crete, the volcanic island of Thera erupted with unimaginable force. The explosion was one of the largest volcanic events in human history. The center of the island collapsed into the sea, creating the caldera now known as Santorini. But the eruption itself was only the beginning. Massive tsunamis raced across the Aegean Sea toward Crete. Waves towering up to 28 meters slammed into the northern coastline. Ports were destroyed. Ships vanished beneath the water. Entire coastal towns were devastated within hours. The maritime network that had made Minoan civilization rich and powerful suddenly collapsed. At Knossos itself, earthquakes damaged buildings, while ash covered parts of the island. The Minoans rebuilt, but something had changed forever. Trade routes weakened, economic stability declined. The confidence that once protected Crete began to disappear. Then, around 1450 BC, warriors from mainland Greece arrived. The Mycenaeans took control of Knossos and transformed the civilization from within. The mysterious Linear A script vanished. In its place appeared Linear B, an early form of written Greek. The peaceful religious society of priestesses slowly became a militarized kingdom, ruled by warrior kings. Europe's first great civilization was disappearing before history even remembered its name. For 75 years, Knossos survived under Mycenaean rule. The palace still functioned. Trade continued. Religious rituals endured beneath fading Minoan traditions. But the civilization that once ruled the Aegean Sea was no longer the same. The priestesses disappeared from power. Warrior kings and military administration replaced the old sacred order. Then, around 1375 BC, fire consumed the Palace of Knossos. Flames tore through corridors, storerooms, royal chambers, and ceremonial halls. The greatest palace in Bronze Age Europe collapsed into ruin. No one knows exactly what caused the destruction. Earthquake? Invasion? Rebellion? History left only silence. For more than 3,000 years, Knossos lay buried beneath the soil of Crete. Then, in 1900, archaeologist Arthur Evans uncovered the lost palace and revealed a forgotten civilization to the modern world. Frescoes of dolphins and priestesses emerged from the ruins. Ancient tablets preserved by fire told the final story of Europe's first great civilization. The Minoans proved that advanced societies could exist without massive armies or fortress walls. They built a world centered on trade, beauty, engineering, and the power of religion. And even today, the ruins of Knossos continue to challenge everything we think we know about the ancient world. If you enjoyed this journey into the lost world of the Minoans, comment below which ancient civilization I should reconstruct next. And don't forget to subscribe for more cinematic history documentaries exploring the greatest lost civilizations of the ancient world. The ruins of Knossos still stand today. Silent reminders of a civilization that changed Europe forever. A world without massive fortresses, without warrior emperors. A society built on trade, ritual, beauty, and the power of the sea. For nearly 5 centuries, the Minoans created one of the most advanced civilizations of the Bronze Age. Then, natural disaster and conquest erased much of their world from history. But not completely. Their frescoes survived. Their palaces survived. And their mysteries still survive today. We may never fully understand the lost language of the Minoans, but the ruins of Knossos continue to tell their story across thousands of years. Thank you for joining me on this journey into Europe's first civilization. And until next time, keep exploring the lost worlds of ancient history.